Okay, hello guys, how are you? I hope you are having a great day today, right? And it's 6:01. We'll be starting a session now. So before starting, I'll give you a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Parv Shah. I have two courses on Udemy platform. One course is on the dark web, which we are going to discuss today, and another course is on Python programming language. I am currently pursuing BTech Computer Engineering with specialization in Big Data Administration. Right. So today's lecture, let me just present my screen. Okay. Uh, Done. Okay, so let's start today's session. The topic of today's session is pros and cons of dark web. Right. So first of all, we'll wrap this whole session in like max 30 to 40 minutes. So before discussing about pros and cons of dark web, let's see, let's understand what is actually dark web, right? So if you have attended the previous session of mine, which was I guess around 15th of January, in which we discussed a big deal about this dark web, anonymity, blockchain, crypto, and stuff. Then you might be quite familiar to the stuff which we are going to discuss today. But if you are a new one to this particular session, first of all, welcome. And this thing is going to be quite great adventurous for you, this particular session, right? So in this particular, let me just start the laser. Okay, so in this particular diagram, you can see there is an iceberg, right? Some part of the iceberg is inside the ocean, some part of the iceberg is above the surface of the ocean, right? So now if we divide our internet, which we are currently using, into three parts, the outermost part of the iceberg, which is visible to all, will be called as surface web, right? Surface web is nothing but the internet we use on daily basis is known as surface web, right? Surface web contains YouTube, Amazon, Wikipedia, Facebook, etc., etc., all the websites. In simple terms, I can say that anything which you can access using this particular browser, many more, is surface web, right? Surface web is the only indexed web from the three types of internets or web which we are going to discuss right now, right? See, everything which website you can see on any browser is it can be considered in surface web. The condition is it should be indexed. Now, what is indexing? See, a website is indexed when a web browser, when you search for a particular website, a web browser gives you the exact address of that website. That particular website is known as an indexed website for that particular web browser, right? So let's, as we are here on creator.club, see, creator.club is also hosted on the surface web. Similarly, there is deep web, which is 93 to 94% of the whole internet. See, anything which is blocked by a paywall or some credentials is known as well as can considered as the deep web section of that particular website. Like in Netflix, the page before login can be considered as the login page or the Netflix page on the surface web, whereas the page after login, where you give actually some credentials or obviously you pay some amount for accessing their content. So the page after you get the page you get of Netflix after logging in or paying some amount, that particular page is located on the deep web, right? So anything which is secured by a payment gateway or login credentials or credentials of any kind can be considered a portion inside deep web, right? So the deep web mainly contains records, as you have used Google Drive data, Facebook data, documentation stuff. Mainly the contents of deep web are in the form of documents, right? And as I said earlier, the surface web is the only indexed portion of the internet, right? So the deep web obviously is unindexed. That is, you cannot directly search the address and access that particular page, right? You have to give the website some credentials or some login data or a payment of any kind, right? So cannot be accessed directly. Obviously, it can be accessed via the main page of a particular section or a website, and it's the whole section is unindexed. Then the third part of the internet, which we are going to discuss in this particular session, is called dark web. dark web is only 1 to 2% of the whole internet, right? Only several less browsers like Tor, DuckDuckGo, etc., etc., are able to access the dark web. But keep that in mind that dark web is not indexed, right? So there are multiple websites on dark web, but there are no browser which are able to index all those websites, because the website address on dark web is just some hexagonal numbers, and followed by a .onion extension, right? So here on the surface web you can see .com or .in extensions. In this particular dark web section, each and every website has .onion as their final name, or we can say domain, right? So browsers such as Tor are able to access the dark web. And on the dark web, there is the biggest factor of dark web is anonymity, right? So there is nothing like login and stuff like that, giving your credentials away, right? Indeed, in majority of the websites located on the dark web, there are no databases attached to it, right? So nothing, your data or anything like that is not being stored in that particular website, right? So let's get back to the main point which we are going to discuss today, that is pros and cons of dark web. I hope you understood what is dark web. If you have any questions, just write in the chat. I'm coming to the chat. Let's see. Okay. Oh, is only dark web browser Tor or any other others? See, there are several browsers, but the most secured one is Tor, right? There are several browsers, and the dark web is famous for bad activities. So I'll just suggest that you only access the dark web through Tor, right? Okay, let's move. Am I audible right now? Yes, mic is on. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, that is pros and cons of dark web. Pros and cons of dark web. First of all, we'll be seeing some pros. Biggest pro about dark web is anonymity, right? The dark web was made for anonymity. Actually, before the dark web was open for public, it was used by the US Army for their internal affairs, right? Passing some messages and stuff like that, right? So the biggest factor of the dark web is anonymity, right? On the dark web, you cannot find, even there are like 100% websites do not ask for your credentials, right? Certain cases they ask for some kind of money, but that particular money is in the form of cryptocurrencies which cannot be traced. So in that case we can say you are clearly safe, right? So none of your data is stored on the dark web. The second pro of dark web is freedom to express. There are certain whistleblowers, if you heard about them. Whistleblowers are actually the people who leak some information from one place to another. The place can be a country, can be an organization, anything like that, right? So let's say let's get a rough idea of spies, right? So if a spy, Indian spy, in, let's say, located in Israel, needs to get some information to the government, he will be using the dark web. He'll be not using the normal messaging services we use right now, right? And several positive portals are there, which we are going to see right now, right? So let me shift to the Tor browser and let's see what type of websites and how anonymity is actually offered to us by the Tor browser, right? So here I have opened the Tor browser. You can see clearly, right? First of all, I'll just introduce you to the Tor browser, what is Tor browser and stuff. See, here there is a small shield symbol, which actually allows you to have different types of securities, right? So I am currently on standard security. Safer and safest are also the options. The Tor browser by default indexes only on the surface web, right? So it just works like Google Chrome. So if I search, let's say Facebook, it will not index the onion site directly, right? You'll have to give the .onion extension or the .onion page to access that onion websites, right? So Facebook is just .com extension. So by default, the whole Tor browser, in which in the Tor browser we have DuckDuckGo as as a default search engine, which is also great. It's also located on the Surface. Actually, it's only located on the Surface Web. If you want, you can use it in the place of Google, because it is totally secured. Totally means this DuckDuckGo.com is the most secured web search engine on the internet, right? So if you want, you can read this stuff, and if you're satisfied with it, you can move towards DuckDuckGo, right? Another thing, DuckDuckGo does not or cannot open .onion websites. This is the Tor browser that opens Onion website, right? So there are doubts in certain cases that can we open DuckDuckGo on Google Chrome and then open Onion websites? No, right? Okay, so we are currently on standard security, and just to show you that what is the security level of this particular browser, I'll just search here my location. Right, see, VPN is not on in my particular computer. So when I search my location here, let's go to mylocation.org and see what is my location, right? So currently it's showing that I am around here in Germany. My IP address is something, and it's just showing latitude and longitude, right? And now I'll just go to the same particular website on my Chrome, and let's see what is the difference in them. See, so it's showing I'm sitting in India, Gujarat, Ahmedabad, right? So I hope you are getting what is the difference between a normal browser and Tor, right? Tor has inbuilt VPN, Tor has inbuilt IP hiding services. So everything what you want. Okay, there are some questions. If you go to the FB with a dark web browser, will they get the data? No. We are going to go in the FB in this session if you're interested. Is Tor browser or DuckDuckGo? What's the difference between the two? See, Tor is the browser like Google Chrome, and DuckDuckGo is a search engine like Google.com, right? That's the main difference. What are onion websites? See, onion websites are really similar websites to .com websites. This .onion symbolizes that this particular web address is of a dark website, and even the dark websites are not like something like this creator.love. It's like this. Let me show you some links. See, this is the standard website of a dark web. See, wiki. This is the hidden wiki which we are going to see in this particular lecture. The whole address of the link is some hexagonal numbers, and .onion is the extension of that particular website name, right? I hope you're understanding it, what I'm trying to say. Okay, so no questions. Okay, so the thing is, the Tor browser helps you everything. It helps you in everything, right? Even if we are talking about how the Tor browser works, it's actually not using any server, right? If I am using my computer using the Tor that is right now, some another person sitting in another country will be using my computer as a server for accessing the Tor browser or for accessing the dark web, right? So it's like a peer-to-peer network for this particular Tor browser. For peer-to-peer, I mean that there is no server or there is no satellite kind of thing. Everything is connected between the devices which are connected to the dark web, and the whole network is created. And through that network, the Tor browser helps in hiding your location and IP by default, right? So I have not done any settings here. It is by default. Okay. Now, moving on to the pros, we saw certain points like anonymity, freedom to express, and several positive portals, right? So we'll be seeing that. Okay, there's some questions. How do you get the onion link of this websites? Okay, actually, if you're talking about me, I got all this onion links from the Surface Web. As I said earlier, that the dark web is not indexed, so you can't actually get onion links easily, right? You'll have to search for it. There are certain browsers on the dark web which काफी हद तक they are able to index the dark web. I'll show you right now. Right, so let's move to the hidden wiki. See, on Surface Web we have Wikipedia. on dark web we have hidden wikis, and this is not the only one. There are hundreds of hidden wikis on the dark web, right? Hidden wiki is nothing but a dictionary of all the links, right? It's just trying to index the dark web. But obviously there are multiple websites. You cannot get all the websites inside a single page, right? So majority of the websites on this hidden wiki are listed about different categories like volunteer, financial services, and etc. etc. Right? There are hundreds of hidden wikis. This particular hidden wiki is the most trusted. If you want, I can also share this link. Let me just share it. Okay. What do you mean? What what would be on the onion link that's not to be main website? Who maintains it? See, on the dark web now, there are no dynamic websites. There are single page or like max 10 pages static websites, right? So there is no need of maintenance. And if you're talking about hosting, there are certain hosting services available on the dark web, or majority of the people who are really frequent visiting dark web, they actually host their website from their own device, right? So there is no maintenance in those websites because, as obviously as I said, this all websites are static websites, right? Okay, so here we are. Oops. Okay, so this is the hidden wiki, which is actually a dictionary, actually a container of multiple links from the dark web, right, around different categories. See, majority of the dark web is filled with illegal stuff, but there are certain plus points of the dark web also. As I said earlier, the biggest point about dark web is anonymity. You can find anything here, right? Like search engine, as I said earlier, dark web is not indexed, but certain search engines are there, just like Google, where you can search about a keyword, and according to the indexed pages, which are quite minimum in this particular websites, you can get certain level of indexing on dark web, right? So these are just some links, just some search engines of the dark web. Let me start Torch just to show you. Plus the dark website, see, this is the address of Torch, right? And matching any words. This is a very basic website, nothing more, right? And this is the basic website of dark web, right? You can search here anything. I'm not going to search anything right now. Okay, so let's move back to the hidden wiki, and these all are the search engines. If you want, you can access this, right? But keep in mind, majority of these things are scams. So please don't give your personal information if asked anywhere, or pay something in the form of cryptocurrencies, or give your any credentials anywhere, right? Don't give it. Plus, majority of the things here ask for some kind of money, right? So financial services, forum type marketplace with some of the oldest and most experienced vendors around, PayPal CCs and stuff. These are all scam products or carded products. I hope you are aware to carding, right? So these are all commercial services. See, guns, dark market and stuff here in this particular website. Guns are sold, but as I said earlier, this majority of the websites on dark web selling illegal things are fake. They are just there for grabbing some fool who is interested in this kind of things and who pays for it, right? So these are the static websites. Like if I open this guns dark market website, this would be a single page website, nothing else. See, right? Just some images of some ammos, and here you can see some prices. So this is, and all the payment is in the form of bitcoins, as you can see this particular screen, right? So this is the dark web section, but as I said earlier, majority of these things are fake. So please take a note of it. Second thing, that visiting dark web is not illegal, but buying illegal things or doing illegal things on the dark web is, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, you can find US fake IDs and stuff. These things are indexed by hidden wiki. Now moving to the positive points, you can see anonymity, security. Plus, if you are as a computer engineer, or if you are interested in hacking or something like that, the dark web is the biggest source for learning hacking and stuff, right? You can find many websites which has tons and tons of content related to hacking and stuff, right? And as I said in this particular point, freedom to express. We are going to see those websites right now. So darknet versions of popular websites, right? This are the versions of popular websites. In the previous question, someone asked about Facebook websites. So let's open it. Right. So these are some popular websites which are also available on the surface web, as well as this websites also have some presence over the dark web. I'll just like to tell you that these websites are totally secured. Like the Facebook websites actually belong to the Facebook, right? And it's asking me for email and ID. I don't know why. See, if any kind of situation happens, just close the tab. That's the best thing you do, right? Welcome to BBC and stuff. This is just websites, news websites. This is the same BBC website which you find on the surface web, right? Now moving to the point, the pro, that is freedom to express, right? Let me just find this section, whistleblowing. Actually, what is happening? I'll just talk about the previous website, presence of websites on the dark web. Why these websites need to be present on the surface web as well as the dark web? Let me give you the example of very famous facebook.com, right? In China, facebook.com is totally blocked. No one can access facebook.com, right? So for any instance, if anyone from China needs that freedom to access this Facebook website, which, because it is just a normal social networking site, right? By that, he or she can access the Facebook version from this particular Tor network, from the dark web, right? And coming towards whistleblowing, I hope you understand what whistleblowing means, right? Whistleblowing means that a particular employee of a particular company or a country is leaking some private or confidential things of that particular organization to its competitor. Like, as I said, spies, right? They all use this kind of services. Whistleblowing, if you visit these websites, you will not see anything interesting or anything like that, like some hidden stuff. And because obviously when they are sharing it, they are obviously not using these websites, at least, right? And someone asked about hosting this particular websites. See, these are hosting services provided by the darknet. File uploading services. This dark web has the same, majority of the dark web has the same configuration, the same type of websites which we see on the surface web. The thing is, these are just much secured, right? Like books, if you want to read about books, close to 1 million books, no copyrights and stuff like that, right? So these things are also interesting. Drugs and stuff are obviously more famous on the dark web, because that's one of the main reasons why people visit dark web. Again, as I said earlier, buying anything illegal from the dark web is actually considered illegal in like every country, right? Not only talking about India, right? So this was the hidden wiki, where we saw certain pros as well as some of the cons of using dark web, right? Email services are also there. ProtonMail has an instance on dark web as well as the surface web. So if you want to send emails anonymously to people, you can also access this particular ProtonMail service on the dark web as well as on the surface web, right? Plus, it's loading the login page, but it will not ask you any credentials. It will just ask you to create a username and just create a password, right? So let's say I create a username, say demo underscore acc underscore one, and password is asdfg123, right? And login. Oops, you have to create an account. See, as I said earlier, free package, obviously. As I said earlier, none of the websites on the dark web will ask you for your personal information. I hope in the Facebook website also, you just need to give your fake information or your created by yourself information, which I'm going to give on this Proton, right? So my username will be demo account _1. Password will be asdfg123. asdfg123. Next, username. Okay, this might be unique. Okay. Add recovery method. In this case, it will be asking you for your original email address if you want to recover this particular account which we are going to create. But if not, you can just skip this portion. But after that, if you skip this portion, you cannot access your account if any time in the future you forget its password or its credentials, right? So please keep that in mind. Free package, obviously, one user, 0.5 GB storage, and one email address, right? And I can now, okay, so I hope you got the idea of what actually the Proton mails and the hidden mail services on the dark web looks like, right? Like it's just like the Gmail offered by Google, but it's kind of different as it's totally anonymous, right? So I hope you understood what are the positive points of dark web. The biggest positive point, as I said, are these 3 points: anonymity, total security, and total privacy, right? So people who like their privacy more than anything, they use dark web and its services, right? Now coming to the cons of dark web. Let me see if there are any questions here or not. Okay. I mean, who populates the content on them? Is the content on BBC, dark web, surface web different? No. The content of BBC on dark web and surface web are typically same, because BBC is a big website, will not be adding content which is quite disputable on its surface or dark web section, because people know that this is a BBC website, right? This is not a hidden website on dark web, even though it has a hidden address, but still people know that this is a BBC website, right? So BBC will not add any questionable material on their dark web instance, right? I mean, who populates the content on them? See, people create all kinds of websites on them. These websites, if you are familiar to creating websites by yourself, you will be knowing that these websites are quite small, right? Like the guns website we visited, right? Or if I visited Apple World, where they actually sell Apple products, but these all products are carded, right? So which means they are uh, actually scammed in certain language, right? So it's selling this particular things. Now, if you know how to create a website, this kind of website is like in half an hour work, right? So there is no maintenance in this kind of websites. Plus, if they are also not having any hosting options, as I said earlier, they can host these websites from even your mobile phone, because the websites on dark web do not have that much traffic, right? If my website is having a traffic like 1 lakh people every month, then obviously I'll have to use any hosting services. But as these websites on the dark web has as minimum as like 5 to 10 people visiting these websites monthly basis, then they don't need such kind of hosting services and stuff, right? So I hope your question are okay. Can you give an example of a website where the content would differ? What do you mean by differ? A static website? I don't get like what you are trying to say, what you're trying to ask, that where the content would differ. What do you mean by differ? A static website, right? Like we saw on BBC, where they have an admin panel actually on the back, right? And companies like BBC obviously are hosting their websites. They are not hosting their websites from their personal devices and anything like that, right? They are hosting this everything from a particular secured server, right? They are not having anything like hosting from their devices, personal devices, right? So yes, BBC website would be a great example of a dynamic website, because each and every day certain new articles will be added to it, certain new articles will be deleted from it, right? Could you explain the freedom to express point? Okay, see, freedom to express, as I said earlier, the countries like China have blocked certain China, or if we talk about North Korea, right? North Korea, there is like no internet on the whole country, right? Even if they use internet, the country as a domain can actually trace their internet, whatever the transaction or whatever they are doing through their IPs or anything like that, right? So this type of people use this type of darknet hidden services like freedom of expression, right? So the darknet in a way we can say that helps those people who are actually blocked by the government to enjoy their freedom of speaking or freedom of content, right? Freedom to express uh, on this type of platforms. Plus, if we are talking about like people, right? In I guess let me remember the country around England only. In England, there is a city or a state, I guess, which has its own darknet present, and the main work of that presence is to get to know the corrupted officers, right? So if I am a the officer there, and if I do any type of corruption, the person from whom I have taken the money, the black money, the person can report me on that particular instance anonymously, right? So through that, even some countries are using dark web in a positive way, right? Freedom of expression, another, I like to say that, as I said, some type of news are also curbed. Like in China, recently the real number of people who died from coronavirus was hidden, right? Even still today, it is not even launched to public, right? So that freedom of expression is curbed by the Chinese government from the world. Freedom of knowing, freedom of speech, everything which is curbed by the government can be accessed from this particular dark web. That's it. Like surface web would have different content than dark web. Yes, surface will obviously have different content from dark web. My question would be: is there any difference to create and host a website on dark web, like difference from surface web? No, there's no difference. Mainly, there's no difference. Obviously, there are some difference in the configuration side, like darknet will not promote use of databases in your website, right? So some some conditions are there, but the main code to create and host a website, there is no difference, right? Okay, and plus on the dark web, as I said, there are no dynamic websites. The biggest point why there are not, because like no traffic. Indeed, the surface web is the most visited internet on the internet instance in the world, right? The deep web is the second, because it is actually hidden by certain credentials. It is actually guided by certain credentials or payment gateways, right? Okay. So moving to the cons portion, as I hope you see on the hidden wiki, filled with criminal and illegal activities and filled with black hat hackers. These black hat hackers are the people who are there just to hack you, right? And majority of the people who are visiting the dark web on a daily basis, these people have certain cryptocurrencies or anything like that. That's visiting, right? Let's keep the point that if they are using illegal activities or not on aside. But the thing is, they are visiting those pages, and through that pages, through certain JavaScript, if you have heard about it, JavaScript plugins are there, through which they give a small amount of file, a small file in your computer through this particular browser, right? Which is sometimes considered as cache memory or cache files or cookies, because cookies are not available on the dark web. Even if some website is asking you for cookie permission, please get out from that website. Just close that tab, right? The safest way to use dark web on your computer is using Tails. Tails is an operating system which is specially created for accessing the dark web. So browsers like Tor are previously installed in Tails, right? And Tails is created in such a way that you boot or you get that operating system in your pen drive, and from that pen drive you boot your whole computer, right? And through that you will access Tails. Now, the best point about Tails is, even if you are getting hacked while using Tails, you can just remove that pen drive, and every data you did, everything you did on that particular dark web instance is lost. So that is the best factor about Tails. So if you want to know about Tails, you can just search tails.borum. Here it is. This is the website. Tails is a specially operating system created for exploring dark web, right? So it contains Tor and stuff, and you can just download it from here. Documentation support. Okay, where can I find the download button? Let me just search Tails download. And if you want to install that particular instance of Tails in a USB drive, which I personally suggest you, just download the ISO file from here and just have a minimum USB drive of 8 GB. Install this operating system on that drive, create or make that USB drive bootable, and then you can boot your whole computer using that USB drive, right? And then you will be exposed to using Tails or Tails operating system, right? That's it for this particular session. I hope you understood what was the pros, what are the points, what are the cons of dark web. If you want a detailed insights about dark web, like what is it, everything, every topic of dark web, what is blockchain, what is crypto, how NFTs are created, you can view the previous session which I did on 15 January IST, 6 o'clock, right? So you can view that lecture. That particular session is available on creator.club. So if you want, you can view that. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or we are done for the session. Okay, I would love a detailed course on this. Okay, actually I am a Udemy creator and I also have certain Udemy courses, right? So if you go to Udemy, you can find my courses there. I have two courses on Udemy, as I said in the starting of this particular session. One is related to dark web, one is related to Python programming language, right? So when you go here, you can just search my name, Parv Shah, and you can find my two courses here. One is Python programming language and one is dark web, right? I have around, in total, I have around 40,000 plus people enrolled in both of these courses. So if you want, you can just explore these courses out, right? The price is quite high, it's showing, but if you are enrolling there, you can, I guess you will be getting 500 rupees. This course is in 500 rupees. I personally recommend my Python course because I have actually great big deal of, you know, innovation in that particular course. If you want, you can view that. Plus it also comes with 30-day money back guarantee. So if you want, you can always refund your money. Okay. So in terms of dark web, should you download or Tor or use directly DuckDuckGo? See, as I said earlier, DuckDuckGo cannot access. See, DuckDuckGo is also present on the Chrome browser. I'll just open it. DuckDuckGo cannot access the dark web. It is the Tor browser which is accessing it. DuckDuckGo is just, see, I'm inserting that Onion website. See, it cannot open these things, right? It cannot open .onion websites. Only the Tor can, and it is not even secured. It is showing that this is a hidden service, Onion website, but will not be able to open it. And even if it is able to open it, it is not at all secure to open this kind of particular websites on your local browser, right? I just started with hacking after web developers. Okay. I'll suggest you go for the courses. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask me here, or we are done with the session. If you have any feedbacks, you can write it in the question board. Okay, so that's it for this particular session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any doubt or anything like that, I will be most probably having another session on this particular topic. You can ask me there. If you want to see anything like that, any tips to learn blockchain? Okay, how are financial transactions done on dark web? This the financial transaction on dark web are done through blockchain technology, and they are used. Cryptocurrencies are used in the financial exchange, right? Cryptocurrencies are just kind of currencies which cannot be traced, right? So if I am sending you any currency, no one in the world can say that I sent you this currency after the transaction. Our public addresses will be shown, but public addresses are just kind of email IDs which are just 12 digits alphanumeric values. So no one can determine what this public key uh, belongs to. Any tips to learn blockchain? Like, okay, so all transaction, yes, each and every transaction on the dark web are in the form of cryptocurrencies. Mainly Ethereum and Bitcoin are used on the dark web for transaction purposes, right? Any tips to learn blockchain? Okay, if you want to learn blockchain, there are certain programs which are specially centered on blockchain. See, if you are getting into dark web to learn blockchain, it's not recommended, because dark web is actually based on blockchain, but you can learn blockchain more by understanding how cryptocurrencies and stuff works, right? So that's how I will advise you to learn blockchain. First, learn about cryptocurrency, like how they are created, why they are created, why are they needed, and why was blockchain created, right? If I give you a brief introduction about blockchain, blockchain is nothing. See, every website on the internet has a centralized thing, right? By centralized, I mean, let's talk about Facebook, right? Facebook has all my data, whatever I have done till today, right? The biggest factor of blockchain was obviously for secure transactions, but the second biggest factor of blockchain is anonymity, kind of anonymity, because whatever you do, your data on blockchain is not handled by a private organization or a particular organization, right? So not even your government, not even any private organizations can get access to your data. But the big thing comes here that everything on the blockchain is in the form of a block, right? And these blocks are public. So if I want to see a particular block of data on blockchain, I can, because it is public, right? But as I said earlier, everything is secured by public and private keys, so it doesn't matter. Even if I can see a transaction, but I cannot determine that from which public key who this person who sent the amount having this particular public key is, right? So it's just like public key and private key का खेल है बस, ठीक है? चलिए, that's it for this session, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next session, hopefully. Thank you very much. Bye bye.